Megavon and friends, welcome back to another episode of the Lord of the Wrongs podcast, the only Tolkien podcast the professor himself would dismiss as juvenile and crass. My name is Dan Zerby.
And I'm Sean Kelly.
Yes, you are. And together we'll be discussing the writings, news, adaptations, games, and everything else regarding J.R.R. Tolkien's Legendarium in a way you would find disappointing. We are back. Hi. We did it. We're every other week. For 2 weeks running.
Yes, we're back on an actual schedule. I'm proud of us, sir.
Me too. We've come a long way in these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, has anything exciting happened to you in the last 2 weeks since we've spoken? I guess it was probably more likely stuff was happening in a couple months that we weren't recording, but
yeah, I mean, I brought my car in for service this week. That's not so much exciting.
That's
it's nice to have a working knock sensor, though. You know, you never know. Yeah, I'm a responsible adult. I paid a lot of bills today, actually. I'm very proud of me. I'm so responsible.
That's adulting,
yeah.
Baby. Yeah, in non-adulting news, I did play a bunch of The Return to Moria, but we can discuss that on episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friend and I dove in, and it was actually pretty fun. But that's for a non-Rings of Chowder episode.
Yeah. Welcome to part 2 of the Rings of Chowder. Our analysis, reactions, and discussion of the second half of the second season of Amazon Prime's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power.
Thank you for that detailed description. I'm going to need another, honestly, less detailed description of what you've done, Zerby. What have you done?
What have I done? What, in general, or like for this episode?
I was thinking more in the realm of maybe some, retractions that could be made.
Well, yeah. So last week, the Tolkien fun fact I put forth was that who was it? Who did I say? Vladimir Putin was building a temple to Morgoth. Yeah.
Yeah, Putin.
I mean, I just made it up, honestly. I was unprepared. We were finally back after 5 months, and I just panicked, and I had to make up something. It's the first time either of us have had to do that.
I'm not going to fact check that. But
no, it's usually somewhat thought out. I mean, research. I might
have joined in on that one, and we were wrong. It's just straight up and down wrong. So I think we can move on.
Let's just not talk about it anymore and pretend it didn't happen. You know what? I'm going to go back and just cut it out of the last episode.
What we can't pretend didn't happen is the second half of the Rings of Power.
That's true. I don't actually necessarily want it to pretend it didn't happen. I just kind of wish it had been better in parts. That's all.
No, I'd say that's valid, but I'm sort of glad we got it.
I'm
so why don't we well, first of all, overall impressions, I guess.
Overall impressions. I feel like the finale, the last episode, which we will get to, we're going to go through our storylines here, but I think the finale was perfectly exemplifies the weaknesses and the strengths of the show. Because the stuff that was
I can see that.
Good was incredible. We're going to get to it, but Anatar and Celebrimbor in the finale. We'll get to it. But I mean that, and there are other parts that
incredible.
Were
great.
And then you also had fucking goddamn the Rune storyline, which we'll also get to, which was very frustrating in many ways.
Which was like rewatching the second half, I realized how much they just kind of let it fall to the wayside.
Yeah, I mean, I don't,
they just didn't care anymore for this season.
Honestly, I think the best thing for the stranger, or I mean, it's not really a spoiler. The show's been ended. We know he's Gandalf now. Gandalf and
The
yeah,
Grand
the
Elf,
Grand
yeah.
Elf. God, I hated that so much. Again, we'll get there. We'll get to that. But I think
Yeah.
splitting up the Harfoots, the stores, and from the stranger, I think is going to be the best thing for those storylines. Although I don't really know uh, what they're going to do. But
Yeah, I mean,
so there's lots to talk about.
unfortunately, I think they're just gonna, yeah, they're gonna sort things out in Rune, and then they'll go
Yeah.
back to the hobbits. But
What did
anyway,
what did you
so
think
I
overall
mean,
of this second half?
I I still liked it more than the first season generally, but this
Yeah.
was like, I mean, starting with the fourth episode, as I said last time, there were a lot more holes to be poked in things, and
Yeah.
it was overall less compelling. But there were, I mean, as you said, there were a lot of
Big moments. Yeah.
exciting, interesting, compelling
Yeah.
moments that that honestly were missing from the first
Yeah.
season for the most part. So
Absolutely.
overall, still second season, huge
Yeah.
improvement, but and the errors weren't quite as egregious.
Yes.
I think like they just kind of stopped talking about Mithril
And its effect.
like all their
Yeah. I
weird
was very glad that they just were like, all right, we don't have to address this anymore.
abandoned.
Yeah, the black rot stuff. That's
Yeah.
Sauron's influence, and we're just going to kind of leave it at that.
Yeah.
Because yeah, that was not
So
not a not a not a fun thing
yeah,
to watch in the
they
first
didn't
season.
exactly wrap everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't wrap everything satisfyingly, but they sort of abandoned the things that some of the things they
Yeah.
needed to abandon.
Or they
So
did actually end up explaining them
yeah,
in some
but that
cases.
was in like the first
Yes.
couple
Yeah.
episodes usually.
Yeah.
So
All right. So who do we want to start with?
so why don't we start with the dwarves?
Yep.
Because I feel like a lot happens in the
Yeah,
beginning.
episode 5 opens
And
with the
well,
dwarves.
okay,
So,
yeah, first of all, I did make a mistake last time when
oh yeah.
the Doors of Durham were after they made the
Yes.
rings. So yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah.
see that.
I know you want me to just take heat off of you, but I would say it's relatively minor compared to the other.
I just said we're not
Doors,
talking
but
about it.
okay. But
We're not getting political.
no, so I also okay, we're not. So I did want to say I sort of realized part of the reason I did not enjoy their storyline as much was because we were missing Elrond and
Yeah,
Durin.
it's God. I really hope they end up. I mean, they should. I mean, we see at the end that they're gonna clearly they found where Imladris Rivendell is going to be placed, and that's not really very far. So I hope we
Yeah,
get them back together
I'm thinking
because
that may become a
yeah, it
thing.
would be great to get them back together in season 3 because damn it, they had such great chemistry.
Yeah, I mean overall it was still good. I really enjoyed the whole ring, drama and
Yeah,
everything, and it felt true to the dwarves as a race and
yeah, it really
everything.
did. Yeah, where you see King Durin becoming incredibly greedy and um but also like not totally losing himself quite yet, you know. I mean, he
No.
reinstates his son Durin the fourth as his heir, which was nice to see. He gives him back that
Yeah.
collar.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
reconciliation never
Yep.
hurt. But I mean it does it felt true to because the dwarves obviously, so the elves their rings weren't corrupted.
Right.
The dwarves they succumbed somewhat to Sauron's influence, but they were stubborn and hardy, so it
Yeah.
really only just amplified their greed
Their
and
anger
like
and yeah,
the sort of
some of the
the
negative
the
qualities that they already had,
more
but
evil
yeah, but they
past,
didn't fall like, like men
like the
are
men
going
did
to
and
in the
just
show.
became
Yeah, which
void.
we should be seeing that next season actually, season 3. We should be seeing some ring
Yeah, I
wraiths
think he's
being
gonna start
chosen.
doling
So
those bad boys
yeah, it's
out.
gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it seems like Theo might again be a candidate
I
for
am
that,
more.
but
I don't know. I feel like they're setting up his relationship with Isildur for Theo to be the king of the damned or king of the dead, rather.
oh,
That's my guess.
interesting.
That's my
Well, I
guess.
mean,
But either
either
way,
way,
he's going to be something for sure.
yeah, he's a troubled
Yeah.
youth, so I'm sure we'll
I'm.
see
I bet
something there.
Kennen will end up getting a ring. That's a guess.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
that feels
Yeah.
on brand for sure.
Um. Uh,
I mean, we'll get to the backstabbing scene and
no. Yeah.
everything,
No. That
but
bitch.
yeah, no, he's been so frustrating this season in such a delightful way. But anyway, we're
Yeah.
discussing the
We're talking
dwarves.
about dwarves.
So, I mean, yeah, we did get to see the Doors of Durin.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing that that bothered me.
Was it
So,
Celebrimbor's racist joke?
there no. I don't even think I
He
remember
makes a
that.
joke. He
What
makes
was
a
it?
joke about Narvi being a jewel thief, and I'm like, that's kind of fucked up. It's like Celebrimbor just made a racist joke. I know they all lauged, but I feel
Yeah,
like
but
Narvi looked a little
also
uncomfortable. I don't know. Should we cancel
but
Celebrimbor?
also I think he's been canceled and more at this
Yeah.
point.
Again, we'll get there.
But I mean, the whole reason for the animosity is because the dwarves in Ered Luin were
Right?
jewel
Yeah.
thieves. So
Yeah.
it was got, like maybe it's definitely
Yeah.
like stereotyping him for the whole group, but
Yeah.
still it was kind of like,
It's a
okay,
little
well,
uncool.
he was probably like there.
It's like,
No, I was gonna say there was something that bothered me that it was the market scene
oh, what bothered you about it?
with Disa and where she
Oh,
drops
yeah.
like a
Yeah.
rock and it
Like
rolls
a
like I don't know
cartoon.
50
Yeah, it
feet
just
and
kept going.
yeah
50 yards more like. It just
and
kept
then
going. It was crazy.
yeah, well fit
Yeah,
still,
that's fair.
but either way she somehow stumbles upon a completely unexplored
Yeah,
cavern that's like right off of the market
right.
square, and she's a stone singer. It
Yeah.
was like, okay, this
That
feels a
well,
little,
especially
we could have
since
gotten
like
here a
well,
different way.
she then senses there's something evil. We know it's a Balrog, but like it's that close by and he's not woken up ever. Yeah, that doesn't.
Was it a Balrog or the Watcher?
No, it was a Balrog. We don't see the Watcher in the
Yeah.
water. That doesn't happen until I think the Third Age, actually.
No, I know, but I just wasn't
Yeah.
sure because
I mean, they
yeah,
still kind of.
do you really think the Balrog like swimming around in there?
Well, something like yeah,
He becomes a creature of slime as
that
soon as he
is
gets
very
wet.
true. That is very true. Pretty
So,
gross.
yeah, slime and
Yeah.
darkness, but yeah, I mean, we can talk about the Balrog in a
Yeah.
sec, but I mean, otherwise, it was.
Yeah.
This was pretty much what I expected from the dwarf story. I just didn't think it would happen so fast.
Yeah,
Honestly.
I mean that's one of the things I've really again appreciate about this season is the pacing is so much better. Um and they've been able to like get these things to happen quickly without but it didn't feel not at least I didn't feel it was rushed. Like it did happen quickly. The storyline unfolded like, we see King Durin, and his obsession with the ring and all that and his becoming more greedy and holding it over other dwarf lords so they can make more money. It all happened very
Yeah,
fast, but it didn't feel rushed to me. It felt like a really natural
I would.
response to a ring of power,
I
a
would
mortal having a
say,
ring of power.
yeah. I would say it felt rushed, like lore wise. Like it was very apparent lore wise that it was rushed, but in the show itself,
Right.
it didn't
Yeah,
feel rushed.
if like reading the source material, if you knew how fast it would be like, oh wow, that like really happened quickly then, huh? You know?
Yeah,
Yeah, for
like
sure.
and like I mean, Moria
But
was
Yeah.
mining mithril for like years and
Right.
stuff. So
I think that it just has to be a
it did feel rushed in that way,
yeah.
but yeah, you just need to divorce yourself from the
Yeah,
lore
I
for
think
that
it
one,
has
and it definitely
yeah. Well, I think that has to do with change of medium too. Like I think, with the show, like you
yeah
have to
yeah
move it forward. And that's one of the big problems that I felt with the first season is that it just dragged. The show dragged and then they just like did a bunch of stuff and then it dragged
yeah.
again. I don't know.
But I mean, to me, it's a little weird also that it was that fast for the dwarves, because if the Balrog's already an issue, what are they like? That how many more seasons are there going to be? Like
There's a total
five
of
or something,
five seasons.
supposedly,
Yeah.
or three
Yeah.
more seasons. But like, are they just going to be cohabitating with a Balrog the entire time? I'm sure it'll get taken over by goblins in like the last season
Well,
or
that doesn't
something.
happen
But
until the
like,
third age. It's
I
during the fifth.
guess, yeah.
It's
But I
during the
mean,
fifth use the Lord of
they just
Moria when the Balrog wakes up again and destroys it.
so maybe we'll see
We
their
should,
baby or
yeah.
something get killed by the Balrog. I don't know.
I mean,
It's
which doesn't mean that they
but
can't
once
destroy
again, we
Moria.
can't.
They can turn it into Moria in the show. They can. There's lots of things they can do. Just because that doesn't
I
happen
mean,
until the third age doesn't mean they can't just shove it in if they want to.
yeah. I was
I
gonna
don't know that they.
say
I'm not
like
saying. I'm not
we
saying they should
can't
do that. I don't know how I would feel about it, but
we can't judge how things are gonna
yeah,
happen based on when they happen in the
right.
timeline.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, besides that, I mean, the one of the only other things that bothered me a decent amount was like at the end, basically when they had to make a choice between bringing a whole army to help the
Oh
elves
man, yeah,
and Durin going alone to like confront his
yeah.
father. It was like you probably could have just sent them ahead
I,
without
it did.
you,
It
maybe
did
taking
turn
a
out to
couple of
only
guys.
need Durin Jr. to talk to Durin Sr. Yeah, it's like they didn't need to keep it behind. He did.
Yeah.
That is what happened, though. They did eventually, send the army, and Durin
Yeah,
stayed
yeah. I
behind
mean,
and
they
saved the
eventually
day.
went,
Yeah,
but also they would have saved the day earlier. I mean, they needed to not save the day,
right.
I
Yeah.
guess,
Well, they
but
saved the day. Yeah,
yeah,
in terms of
yeah,
yeah, a
too
little
late.
late. A little
They
late. They saved some lives if they didn't
saved
save the day.
the
Yeah.
30 remaining elves.
Yep. All 20
Yeah,
of them. Yeah.
we'll get there. We'll get there, but I counted 28 on the screen. I
Did you
actually
actually?
paused it and counted, but yeah.
You would.
I was
You
like,
would.
this is so fucking
I know. That's one
lackluster. I
of the
can't.
that's
Okay,
no, but that
anyway.
is one of the things that and we can talk this is something I saw in the Numenor storyline as well. Especially during Muriel's like trial by sea monster, where it's like this is like an open trial for every like why are there only like again like 30 people there? Where's everybody else?
But yeah, I mean, you paid $1 billion. You can get some more
Yeah,
extras.
or you can just like yeah. It feels like these worlds don't have as many people as they should. Sometimes
I
though, not all
mean,
the time. I
yeah,
think they're better about it this season, but I still feel like they can make these
yeah,
places
but
feel
like,
a little more full.
yeah, the initial horse charge by the elves felt well populated, but
Yeah.
then there's 2 dozen
Yeah.
left or whatever
Well, I mean,
afterwards.
they
It's like
did
they
everything
really.
wrong with a heavy cavalry charge. Number one, they stopped. But we'll get
Okay,
there.
well, we'll get there. Okay, so I mean, was there anything else you wanted to mention before the Balrog
Before the Balrog,
lore wise?
I just thought I just want to shout out the acting between the Durins. Um, it makes me.
They
Oh
did
my
have
god!
awesome
It was just so
chemistry,
beautifully
and
done.
during the third was his voice
Oh my
alone
god!
was
Yeah,
just
Peter, what's his
so
name? Yeah, so
dwarfishly
great.
perfect. Yeah, it was like, oh man, I just need more of this, and yeah, that's not an option anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Yeah, just really great. Like,
it
and
was.
during the fourth too, just being just heartbroken about his like he's just so he's like my father. He's in there somewhere, you know. It's like it was
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. it was compelling for sure,
I was very
just to see
moved by
him
that.
like struggle with losing his
Yeah,
father.
which made the
But
end of the death of Durin the Third all the more impactful when it happened. Yeah,
poignant, yeah, yeah. I mean, so I mean, whether or not it should have, or would have gone down like that, that scene was
it was
awesome.
so good. I think it might have been the best introduction to any finale.
Like
Well, just
villain.
to finale
Oh
because
yes, yeah, yeah.
it was like I'm in fucking tears, and then the opening credits start. It's like, holy
Yeah.
shit! Oh man, and that, which again will make some of the other things in the finale really annoying. But yeah, I whether it
Him
was just
just
so
being
moving.
smote into
Oh,
nothing by the Balrog
it's
just
that,
jumping at it like, I could take this Maya son. You go ahead.
yeah, it's yeah, it was a great scene. It was a great scene, even though if you had like told me what happened, I'd be like, with a slow motion and everything, I'd be like, that's kind of corny. But if but watching it was
But
something else. I think that's a good.
but if anything deserves slow motion and a slow motion epic, like almost biblical shot, it's the
Yeah,
Balrog, you
yeah.
know?
It was fucking badass. It was great.
And it made me glad that they reprised that version of the
Yeah,
Balrog for it, because
but they made the wings more
it
smoke and less actual wings, which I appreciate. They like split the difference between the
yeah,
Peter Jackson Balrog and what it might look like from the
in the
book. Yeah,
lore
which
accurate
is
sort
cool.
of form.
I really
But I
like
mean,
a lot actually.
either way, say what you will about the Balrog not being completely
Oh,
lore accurate.
badass looking, the coolest. It's the
It
coolest.
is so visually stunning
Yeah,
that
I'm not mad about it. Yeah,
it's worth
yeah,
the
yeah,
the differences. Yeah. So yeah, it was a satisfying
yeah.
end. I'm just curious to see what the hell they're gonna do with that storyline for three more
Well,
seasons. But I guess
yeah.
we'll
I mean,
find out.
well, I think they set it up while your brother is making a claim for the throne. Um,
Yeah,
which I'm
yeah.
like, his
I
name is
which I
fucking Durin. I think he's got it locked down. You know?
Yeah, that there were so many more instances that the
Yeah,
Durin name bothered me this season, and it sounds ridiculous to somebody who might not have read as much into
yeah,
the dwarven background, but like it is like if you're named Durin, you are not just king, you're the embodiment of
right.
the
You are a
king.
literal
Like there's no
reincarnation of the
questioning that.
original of the father of the Longbeards. Yeah,
Yeah, and they would be all like undyingly loyal
yeah. That would
to
yeah.
Adorin.
There wouldn't be
So
a yeah. But you know,
nobody would be
yeah.
questioning
But
it.
if they want to keep
But there
yeah, if
wouldn't be
they want to keep
drama.
the dwarves around, they just kind of have to do that. So yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So all right, so why don't we talk well, let's talk Numenor because I feel like
yeah,
that was a pretty big like
yes,
the Stranger and the Southlands really only came to a head at the end,
yeah, yeah,
really. There wasn't much
yeah. There's a
going on
lot more build
in
up
the
for
middle.
yeah for the Numenor storyline. So the first we see of Numenor in season excuse me episode 5 is the scene where uh the memorial service in the little grotto with the faithful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It I I just really as soon as we started to see the faithful being separated from the Kingsmen in this, I just instantly became more compelled
yeah.
by the
Oh, definitely
storyline
for
and just
sure. I'm
overall
very excited
it's
for what
just
we're
been
seeing in the Numenor story. It's so I really like what they're doing with it.
so like part of the reason I didn't like the dwarves as much with the like sort of almost political
Yeah.
drama that we were getting, particularly earlier on,
Right.
like that is why I like the Numenor
Mm.
storyline, because it's completely it's
Yeah.
necessary. It's like
This
the whole
this
drama
is yeah,
of the
this is
island.
exactly as written. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they're filling in lots of blanks, obviously, but the basic
Yes,
flow of what's
but
happening is exactly how it was written. Yeah.
but once again, it's sort of like how the Celebrimbor Sauron thing is sort of satisfying the itch of how did this happen? We're sort of the Numenor storyline is satisfying the itch of, the crunchy details, like how did this happen to this
Right.
whole island of
Yeah.
people? And it's just becoming more apparent and believable as we see more of
Yeah.
it. But yeah, I mean, well, okay, so Valandil getting
Oh
killed.
man, yeah.
I don't know why I've referenced it multiple times, but it actually was upset. I think it's because it was the first time that there was like a character death where I was like, "Oh, that was actually
I'm
like
actually yeah.
sad."
Oh, I didn't I actually
Like I'm actually
yeah, I
attached to
actually
this
liked
guy.
him. Yeah, that's really sad. Yeah, I felt the same way. Yeah, it was yeah.
And
Like,
and
no,
it just cemented Kemen as this like little
beautiful
snake
piece of
boy.
shit. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man. Yeah.
So it'll be satisfying to see him inevitably turn into a ring wraith and just
Yeah.
be a now immortal
Yeah, you asshole.
piece of shit.
You asshole.
Uh, yeah, but yeah, no, I almost all of the characters in Numenor I've grown to really like or
Yeah.
kind of hate,
In a
which
good you're
is
supposed to,
exactly
yeah.
what you
Right.
want. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I mean, Miriel, I really liked and respected a lot more
Oh
this
yeah, for
season.
sure.
And just her whole like nobility in the face of
Yeah.
like she knows this is a tide that can't
Yeah.
be stopped, so she's like trying to salvage whatever
Yeah.
she can.
And at least do the right thing as much as she can, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously Elendil is goated.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there's just there's not
Yep.
much to say about that. He's
Yeah.
just fucking on. The scene where they're like making them all hand in their stuff and
Yeah.
they all pay respect
Oh yeah.
to Elendil was just like, oh
Yeah.
man, I
It
needed
was a
this.
very nice "Oh Captain, my Captain" moment, in Dead Poet Society, yeah.
Yeah.
It is great. Yeah.
So I mean, uh,
Yeah.
sorry, you might
No,
need
it's
to
alright. No,
you
it's all
might
good.
need to
Oh,
cut this. I'm trying
there
to.
is one thing that I didn't
I lost my
love in that at the beginning of the scene in the shrine, which is they made the same mistake that Peter Jackson made when by talking about the wide green country with a swift sunrise. I know why
Oh,
they said that
yeah.
to reference back to Gandalf telling Pippin what you see when you die in Return of the King.
That was another
The
ham-fisted
problem with
reference
that
too,
is
but
he's describing Valinor, so that's not what Pippin or any mortal will see when they die. Like, oh,
yeah,
that's what
that
I
was
get to see,
that was
not
just
you. You're not going
that
there.
was just Gandalf
Yeah,
flexing on
seriously, it's like,
Pippin.
oh,
He's like, I don't know what happens to you,
but
but
when
you
I
share
die,
the
I
same
know
fate as
exactly what's
men.
going to happen to me. It's going to be fine. I'm just like, yeah,
I'm going back to my
yeah, I'm going
childhood
home.
house.
Yeah, I'm going to like the most beautiful place ever. I'm going to heaven, basically, and I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but
You
so
might.
I didn't. I don't love the use of that
Yeah.
quote in the Return of the King and Peter Jackson's Return of the King, and I didn't like the use of it
Yeah,
here.
like it even
It
less
makes
here.
it makes even less sense in this situation. But whatever. I think they were just trying to because we know nothing about about the way.
The fate of
Yeah, we don't
men
know how the Numenorians worshipped.
after they die.
Well, we don't know how the Numenorians worshipped,
Yeah.
so they had to come up with
Yeah.
something. So
I mean that yeah, they
it's
might have
fine that they used it
so
for
I
that. It just doesn't
wonder
really make sense. That's all. It's like,
it seems believable that they would believe in some artifact like handed down from
oh yeah, I like
uh
the little artifact.
like
Yeah,
Arendelle or something
right.
like passed down to them of a man that visited Valinor, and they kind of know what it's like, but so they're like, that's heaven. We'll go there.
Yeah.
And it's
But
like,
yeah.
well, hate to break it to
Yeah.
you.
That's not for you. um, but yeah, either way,
But yeah, I mean,
um,
so the what did you think about the trial by Abyss?
yeah. I as a scene, just so lore wise, it didn't make really, and I'm not sure what the hell they were doing.
I mean, there's no
Yeah, there's no
precedent,
precedent
but
for it.
yeah.
But honestly, just as a scene, it worked. Like I know it doesn't necessarily jive, it doesn't necessarily go against the lore, but it was fine. It was kind of neat. It was fine.
Yeah, I think
It
so. I
didn't
think
really
it
end up doing
illustrated
anything
well
though. That's the thing. You know, like
yeah, it illustrated well the idea that uh that the Valar are real.
I guess, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but so the only thing I think it could do is potentially lend more credibility to Muriel
Right. Yeah,
and
the conflict's not
create
over.
tension between the factions for the next
Yeah.
season.
Because it's
But
just because Elendil has
so
fled
like
to the
if they
west of the island doesn't
continue,
mean that there's no more faithful on the east side of the island who are going to be,
yeah. So
are being rounded up and thrown in prison and far
persecuted and
worse
everything.
things
Yeah.
later.
So I mean,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so excited!
So-
I'm so excited. I hope they get really grisly.
yeah, I know. It's weird to be excited for human sacrifice, but here we are.
I mean, I'm a human sacrifice guy. What do you want from me?
Love the Aztecs. Yeah, what are you
Yeah,
gonna
like the Celts. I like them all. They're just
do? Yeah, but I mean, so I am really excited to see Western Numenor. I'm
yeah,
excited to see the faithful. I don't think there's going to be much more of the faithful before they
yeah,
go to spoiler alert before they go to
yeah,
Middle Earth and Pharazôn ends up capturing
yeah.
Sauron, which is going to
Next
be, I
season's got to
think,
be.
a very like an
Oh,
awesome
I'm so
moment. Yeah.
excited for everything that's like the Numenor storyline in particular.
Yes.
They've done so well, I think.
Yeah. I was so
Yeah.
trepidatious with the first season, and now I'm just like I'm totally
Yep.
here for it, and I don't. I don't know if I'm as here for the elf storyline after Sauron and Celebrimbor, but I guess we can talk about that
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a bit.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what ends up
Now
actually
that that's gotten
happening. We
done.
don't know yet, right? So but yeah.
Yeah, I just want more bromance from Elrond
Yeah.
and
Durin. Yeah, I really do.
Durin.
I mean, we did get to see them,
Was there
but
so
yeah, it wasn't
yeah,
yeah,
brief.
way too brief. They didn't have any fun,
Yeah,
and that was bullshit.
they weren't
Yeah,
shooting the
I want
shit.
to see them just have a conversation. I do. I want to see them just fucking
Yeah.
have a conversation. It'd be so
Well,
fun.
it's like the
Yeah,
lightheartedness I think was missing from the dwarves,
yeah.
and they're not
There were a
like
couple moments, but
they
yeah,
are. I would say they're doer, but they're not stoic dwarves. You know,
yeah,
like they can mess around.
sure,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah. If you've read The
yeah.
Hobbit, you
They can
know
be
that
quite silly. In fact.
they're just a bunch of
Yeah,
goofballs. Very a lot of Three
yeah.
Stooges energy coming from the dwarves. So, all right. Was there any more Numenor related stuff before we move
um,
on?
I think Aarion is going to be a Nazgul. I think she will be. I
Lady,
think she will be designing the temple to Morgoth, and I think she's going to get a ring. That's my just a prediction.
I kind of hope not, but also
I don't think she's going to go back.
that's
I
fine.
don't think she's going to change her mind and become one of the faithful. I think she's going to be a Nazgul.
I think my prediction is that she ends up helping Isildur steal
Ooh,
seedling
Ah,
from the tree.
maybe.
Like she ends up having a change of heart when she finally sees her brother again,
Ooh, that's a
and
yes, you. That's a good prediction.
and then she becomes a sacrifice or
Maybe,
something like
yeah.
that when they
Ooh,
find out.
yeah. Interesting. That's a good idea. That could work. That would work great.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I
I
like that.
like it would be more believable if he didn't do it alone.
Yeah,
Because how
true.
the hell did
Yeah,
he do
true. Yeah,
that?
seriously. Yeah, that's a great point.
um.
Yeah, I like that.
So yeah. I'm trying to. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah, I
pretty much
mean,
it for
yeah,
the.
the last we see is
Oh, Narsil being handed
yeah,
over
I
to
like how
Elendil,
Narsil is a
which
little different from what we see in the Peter Jackson movies, but still similar. It looks
it's
cool.
it's similar and reminiscent, but it has the same like sort of
Yeah,
ivory look of
yeah,
their aesthetic.
yeah.
So
I
yeah,
like
no,
it.
still
I
looks
will
freaking
say,
awesome.
and look, as much as I do love all of the designs of the swords in the Lord of the Rings. If I could collect all of the replicas, I would. I do have a replica of oh god, uh, the freaking Thor. No,
Ranger sword.
Thorin Oakenshield sword. Damn it.
Oh, the
Yeah.
elf
Oh my god. Orcris, thank you,
Orcrist.
Jesus. It's only my favorite book. Um,
Yeah, and
yeah,
you only the thing that you
yeah.
have probably on a wall.
Yeah. But but I will say Narsil and oh my god, how am I blanking on what the thank
Real.
you. Yeah, Andrew Will.
It's okay. I got you. You just remember the actors' names. I'll remember
Thank
the
you. Good
sword
lord.
names. I love
Um
seeing Eyeglass. I love
yeah,
seeing Narsil.
Eyeglass was really cool. But Narsil in the movies is fucking huge. Like it's such a long blade.
Yeah, I mean
It's
it is
way
like
longer
it's like
than
6 feet
yeah.
long. It's like
It's
Aragorn's
way
height.
longer than most
It's
like
ridiculous.
historical medieval swords. It still
Bastard
looks
swords,
awesome, don't
yeah.
get me wrong, but it's
Yeah, no,
I
of
mean it's like a
course.
Scottish claymore sized weapon. I mean it's huge. And seeing a shorter version, it's like it's not any less badass. So yeah, I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, no, and then just him riding off fulfilling
Yeah.
his vision and
Yeah,
everything
what he
was
saw in the
just has me excited for season 2, and I just can't I can't get enough
yeah. I'm
Elendil,
excited
honestly.
to meet Anarion? Is that his name? Is that his other
Yes,
son? Yeah.
the other
His other son, yeah.
son. Yeah, I missed it. He's in the West, right?
Yeah.
They said that in
Yeah,
the first
yeah,
season?
they
Yeah.
did, but I don't know if they said in the first one. They definitely said it here
Oh,
because
okay.
Elendil
Well,
asks
I
Muriel
mean,
to come with him, and she's like, I can't do that. Yeah,
yes, yeah. Oh, so I did want to say that the Elendil Muriel thing was like I think it was actually well done, and
yeah,
it was the version of like Galadriel's weird romances that actually
yes,
worked.
yes.
You know
It
what I
was
mean?
something I wouldn't have
Like the
expected to like, but I think it's great. They have great chemistry.
and he also refused it,
Right.
which means he's more
Yeah.
noble than an
Yeah.
elf who is supposed to be
Yeah.
like bonded for life to her very alive
Yeah. Yeah.
husband. So it's like yeah, just once again,
Yeah.
he's no simp. It just makes you respect him even
Like,
more.
damn, damn, he's cool. That is one
that's
smooth
a
motherfucker.
man. He turned down a literal
Wow.
queen.
Yeah.
All right, so let's. I mean, so the Southlands. Not
Yeah,
much
not really.
happened
Isildur gets
after
stabbed by
the
his
end
crush in the
thing.
weirdest meet cute. That was actually
Yeah,
a very
but
funny scene. I did it. It was funny, but
yeah, it was. But it was also like, just nothing of
not
substance
really.
really happened
Not until the
until
yeah,
Kevin showed
exactly.
up.
Which was ooh man, yeah. Him hugging Isildur and just
Yeah,
going,
as soon
oh
as
shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, was great.
Ooh, shit, we're betraying everything you
Like,
know and
ooh,
love.
this is so
No, I mean, it's fine,
uncomfortable.
Becky.
So awkward.
Hey, just stabbed your
Right.
friend,
Yeah.
but
I'm,
how you
but
doing?
I'm almost banging your sister too. So there's that.
Yes. He is a simp.
Oh God, for his dad, for his own
That's
dad
the
too.
main.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daddy,
Well, no,
please love me. And Farazan's just like, no, I won't. Your mother would think you're a little bitch if she were alive.
I mean, she wouldn't be
There's a
wrong.
lot of
No,
father son stuff in this season, actually. Like a lot of
yeah, actually,
yeah. It's kind of a big theme in Tolkien stuff in general, actually, to be fair. But
I would say
yeah,
so. Yeah. Well, just because there's so many men, it's
well,
like
yeah,
familial
it's true. That's true.
relationships between fathers and
Yeah,
sons is definitely
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
a big deal. But
Not to mention the meta
I mean,
connection of his son Christopher taking over his legacy and all that sort of thing too. But
yeah,
yeah,
true.
just all comes full circle.
But so I I am excited for I'm excited for both aspects for Pelargir, Gondor, and for the actual mainland Numenor. Because I mean, at this point, it's basically they're both Numenor
Yeah,
storylines.
right.
Southlands has been like dissolved and
Yeah,
folded
there's
into
no.
it,
Yeah,
which is sort
it's
of what
Mordor now. It's not.
that's
Yeah,
what happens.
yeah, yeah, and it's becoming
um,
a colony of Numenor. Yeah.
yeah, I'm interested to see if we see the construction. I mean, I would need to actually look and see when the construction of all of the
I mean,
Gondorian
it
and
has to happen after
Arnorian
the
strongholds
fall
was.
of Numenor. So
Yeah,
I don't think I think we're going to see
I,
a big time jump between seasons like 4 and 5. I think season
yeah, I'd be
4 is going
interested.
to end with like Farazan sailing off to try to kill God, and I think we're going to see a time jump. That's my prediction.
I
That's
wonder
10
if
years
we'll
off. So
see
yeah,
Osgiliath, or they're just gonna stick in like Pelargir or
yeah.
something. Because it would actually be really cool to see Osgiliath in its
Yeah, it
prime.
really
I
would
would
before
love
it
to see
falls.
that.
Yeah, it would be really cool. I mean, in theory, we
Yeah,
should
with
be
the
able to see. Well, yeah. I mean,
it
it'll be
was a thing,
established.
It
Yeah,
was
it
already
won't
an
be in its
established
greatest
colony.
power
It
until
was
after Sauron's defeat, though.
no,
So we
it
won't
wouldn't be in its
probably see it.
yeah.
Well, we might see it in like the last episode. We don't know exactly how they'll end the
They
show.
might be. Yeah, we'll see how if they end up like they're currently building it up or Pelargir up or
Yeah,
something. It would be weird if they were building up uh Minas Tirith. What is it called?
oh, Minas Arnor.
I'm on. What is it?
Well, Minas Tirith before it's named Minas Tirith is Minas Arnor, right? Or Anor.
Yes,
Yeah.
Minas Anor. Yeah, um, yeah. That because that wasn't. I feel like they ended up building that afterwards just to like keep an eye
Right.
out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
where it goes. But I am excited
Yes.
for both
Yeah.
aspects. So something less exciting.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the stranger?
I don't, but we should. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
said last episode, I had the hardest time with the Stranger Tom Bombadil stuff. So I guess
Yeah, it was questionable to say the
yeah.
least.
So I guess what's the next thing that we see of this storyline? Tom Bombadil, I guess, takes the Stranger to the Forest of Dead Trees when he has his vision of Nori and Poppy being like threatened by the Dark Wizard, and then Tom Bombadil
Yeah,
uses the quote wrong,
I
but turns out to be a test. It
oh
turned out to be a
yeah,
test, which is
yeah.
fine, but it's just
So
like
I was fine with
I
the
was okay with the
test,
test,
but
but I
yeah,
wasn't
once
okay with
I
the quote
mean,
of uh deserves it, I dare say he does, yes, like many
yeah,
who live deserve death, maybe that I deserve life,
it's
can you
just
give it
like
to them? But it's like
it's just
it just
once a
work.
that was another like ham-fisted sort of like
Yeah,
weird
push. Yeah,
callback,
yeah. Again,
and that was probably even worse than the Elendil like
Yeah.
callback.
Yeah, I didn't like it. Didn't like
Yeah,
it.
no, I mean, we're not gonna just like harp on
Yeah.
about it, I guess. But like, and we talked about it last episode.
Yeah.
Just the everything predicating Tom Bombadil being there was just so like flimsy
Yeah.
and
It was, again, like I said, it wasn't any
like
of the things in
it,
particular. It was all of the things together, as I just had a very hard time with.
it was bad writing by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It was
what are
just
you
kind
gonna
of
do? And then
ham-fisted.
like
I
even
felt, yeah,
then,
it didn't feel authentic to the story they were telling,
who's
even, you know?
and yeah, so like the hobbits weren't even really that compelling
Yeah. The stores.
with the
Yeah.
stores,
Who are not
and
living in the
then
banks of a
then
river of any type, even though that's one of the things. Again, it's not like the biggest deal.
yeah,
It's fine.
and like the Sea of Rune is
Yeah,
right
it's
there,
like, but
but
whatever. Like,
whatever.
I don't want to harp too much on like these things because it's, I don't know. It's tiring.
Yeah,
It's one of the things that makes the show a
but
little
like
hard to watch sometimes, you know?
yeah, it's just it's like I said in the first episode, it's just so weird that all of the like how I would rank all the stories pretty much took like it was just inverted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like this was my one of my favorite storylines, just purely on like from the show alone, because
Yeah.
it's obviously not like discussed at all, really. So I'm hoping they can have a return to form. But which wizard is the evil? But he's one of the blue wizards,
Yes, they
right?
did actually
He's
confirm. The showrunners confirmed this recently. Well, they confirmed it not
Mhm.
super explicitly, but what they said was, we don't really see a way he could possibly be Saruman, which it was a big relief to me because
No, yeah,
I never thought he was
Saruman
going to
wasn't.
be that, but they kept talking about it. No, I mean no offense, because I love these people and I always shout out the podcast, the Rings of Power wrap up. It's the Prancing Pony meets this show.
Yeah,
Uh, but they kept saying that, and I was like, I don't know why you guys keep saying it because I don't see how that's even possible.
he
But they kept saying it that
he
I got
didn't break
scared. Yeah,
bad.
they got me scared. But trust me,
No,
next time.
there's no. If they did that, it would be
Yeah,
so weirdly. That would be like egregiously anachronistic.
yeah, it would be such
There's
a
just no way. Like
yeah,
Saruman was the leader of the White Council, and they're not going to let him on after
yeah,
he
like
says he wants to
yeah.
replace
No, it's
Balron.
I mean, I kind of honestly hope that the Dark Wizard is not a real Istar and that he's Kamul the Easterling, which is one of besides the Witch King of Angmar, the only named.
That could be
But it won't work if
Yeah,
he's a
so
Maya, if he is a blue wizard, if he really is a blue wizard and he didn't just like manage to deceive Tom Bombadil. I don't know how he would be able to do that, but we're deviating from a lot of Tom Bombadil stuff in the show. So,
yeah.
but I don't know.
So I think so he's matching Gandalf's
Yeah,
power, so he has to
I
be a
think
Maya. I
so.
know there
I think so.
is. So Tolkien did mention that there were sorcerers and things like
Yeah,
that, among
yeah,
like men
yeah,
and
for sure.
things like this. So there is
Yeah,
precedent for it, and it's possible. And we saw the moth people or
right. Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So
Weird cult.
that is like not really
No, yeah,
yeah, it's not like a
yeah.
break from the lore because that is possible,
It
but
would only be a break from the lore if he is
it
a blue
would.
wizard gone bad, which is very, very reasonable. That's the only thing he
Yeah,
really could be. If he is
I
an
don't.
Istar, then he has to be one of the blues that went bad. That's the only thing he can be if he's an actual wizard.
Yeah, because I mean that actually we don't know what happened to them, so that
Right.
could very
And
well
Tolkien wrote that
be what happened to
it
at least
may
one
have
of
happened.
them.
Like that's some of the things that he puts forth in one of the writings. I don't remember which
Yeah,
one, if it was Silmarillion or Unfinished Tales or whatever. But
I think it was either Unfinished Tales
yeah,
or yeah, it wasn't in a
yeah,
main story thing. He basically all we get on the Blue Wizards is they went into the East and weren't heard
yeah.
from again,
We
more
know
or
they
less.
weren't successful fighting Sauron.
Yeah, so maybe Gandalf's the one who did the not hearing from again part. I guess we'll
Yeah.
find out.
But yeah,
But
so Grand Elf. I hate that. I
Yeah.
really, really hated that. I don't want to make a big deal out of it, but I thought that was so dumb.
I'm wondering.
I thought it was dumb.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up if there's a Gandalf
Well,
etymology.
it's the name of I think a
Oh, staff elf in Old
yeah,
Norse.
I think it's yeah, I
Gandalf
believe
or
it's the name of a troll or a giant in Norse mythology. I think like that's where
yeah, it's
Tolkien
in
got the
the
name from. Yeah,
Voluspa poem that includes a list of dwarf
yeah.
names.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah,
was a dwarf.
so
Yeah, a
it comes from
dwarf
the
in mythology. Yeah,
yeah a Norse dwarf. So it was yeah Gander and Alfr,
yeah.
which means magic staff and
Yeah,
elf.
there you go.
So I mean that makes that would
Yeah,
mm, well it just didn't need a.
it was just
You could have
corny.
just
Yeah, I
remembered
don't
it
know. I
or
just thought it was
something.
corny. I
Yeah,
just
I don't
thought it was
know.
corny. It didn't work for me. If you
It
liked it
was.
though,
Yeah.
that's
It was like,
okay. you know, and
yeah,
that's like, you know,
that's fine.
it was just for me. I didn't doesn't work for me. But
So I think part of the reason it bothers me and probably you so
mhm.
much is because Tolkien obviously placed so much stock in
Yeah,
language and linguistics and etymology and
yes,
everything that like all of these, you know, obviously he lifted a lot of names and things from
oh
Old
yeah, sure.
Norse and Icelandic and other
Yeah,
languages and Welsh
I
and
mean, the
whatever.
language of the
So like,
Rohirrim is basically just Old English. So there you go. You know,
yeah, it's just Old English. So, but like, there is it's nice to have this significance. So like for example, um, Uruk is like a sort of
yeah,
bastardization of the Elvish word for orc,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
Eric. And then orc is another
yeah,
further
yeah.
bastardization of that
That's the
word. So
Westron
it's like,
version. Yeah,
yes, you can see the evolution of how that word came
yeah,
about, and that stuff is all throughout his entire
yeah.
works because he basically did this entire thing just to make up con lands.
right.
So it's like,
Yeah,
if it's not like a satisfying uh origin for his
yes,
name, it
yeah,
just feels more egregious when it's
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
context of his
Plus,
work.
there's
So
yeah,
that's why.
I absolutely I agree with you 100%. I would just add that also like oh, Gandalf, that's what they're going to call me. It's like, well, the elves and the Gondorians aren't going to call you that. They're going to call you Mithrandir. And the dwarves aren't going to call you Gandalf. They're going to call you Tharkun. Like, that's not, so it's like, that's not what they were necessarily going to call you.
Yeah.
So I didn't, it's like, it just was corny. And then it didn't make sense too. And it's just annoying to me. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. All right. So slash rant, we're
Yeah.
done with the we're done with that storyline. We just
His staff that he finds
if
was
you
really
enjoyed it,
cool. I will say that his wizard staff is
yes.
fucking
I
badass. Love it.
actually I thought of that and didn't voice it, but it is like an even cooler
Yeah, I
version of
love that.
the Jackson
I love me a
staff,
good stick,
which
and I
yeah,
love a cool walking stick.
way
And
into staves out
man,
here.
that was awesome. Yeah, yeah, just a really cool looking stick.
So yeah, so hopefully we never see Tom Bombadil
I
again,
don't
and
like to say that, but I really hope that we don't see Tom Bombadil
I
again.
hate to see it. I hate to say it, but also
If
I
we do
have to.
see him again, he better be by the Withywindle. He better have Goldberry with him, and he better be goofier.
He better be a goofy motherfucker that's flexing his hot
Yeah.
wife on a bunch of hobbits or
Look
something.
at my hot wife,
You
young
know,
hobbits.
honestly, we might see him in season 5 if they get to the Shire.
Yeah, that's. I mean, listen again. If they do show us the Tom Bombadil that we know and
And
love from
he
the
better
books,
sing
he
and
better be
dance.
goofy and silly and fantastic. But yeah,
All right, you know what? Let's talk
let's
elves.
talk elves.
So
Um, man,
it's still probably one of the most satisfying stories
yeah,
and we'll get to the Sauron Celebrimbor
yeah,
ending in a minute, but like it was still much more
it
satisfying.
was.
I enjoyed Galadriel and Adar's discourse again. Not as much as the first
Yeah.
season.
But I did like how they were in opposite positions as the first season, right? Like Adar now is in the ring of
Yes, he was
is
the
in power,
captor.
yes, in Galadriel. And I also liked the Dutch angles and stuff that they use in that scene because it makes you feel like you feel the imbalance of power and how it's awkward and weird, and it was really cool.
Yes.
Like I liked it a lot.
Yeah, you could tell. Like it felt like there was duress involved for
Right.
her, and like, and you're like, you can tell she's actually like sympathetic, but is also like, hey, like I get it. We have a common
Yeah.
enemy, but you can't just go and destroy this entire city of my
Yeah.
people. And he's like, well,
You say that.
too bad. And then
You
he does
say
it.
that, but what did you think of Adar with Nenya on his finger, by the way?
Oh yeah, at the like
Yeah, I
towards the
think it was
end
the
when
finale.
he like puts it on and he's like healed. I thought it was actually like a really touching ending for his
Yes.
character. I was like very satisfied
Yeah.
with
I liked seeing
him
him as
wearing
he what I also loved was
as he
yeah, but
was.
he's like the last time I looked like this I had another name and Galadriel asked what was it and he's like it doesn't matter. It was a name it was a name that was given me, but
Yeah, it's
Adar
like
is the name I
I
earned.
he
Yeah.
knows. Yeah, he knows he's not that
Yeah,
person
he knows that
anymore.
he can't
And then he
he
gets
is still corrupted at his core. He's not able to, you know.
yeah. And and then he immediately gets Sauron, aka Caesared, aka
Yep.
stabbed a bunch of times by his
Yeah.
followers.
Oh, Gloog.
It was just such a satisfying
Yeah.
ending. But like, all right, let's we can hop back
Yeah.
to the entire like siege and everything because that was pretty much the
Yeah.
entire second half
Yeah,
of
for
the
sure. Yeah, it was the
season.
Siege of Eregion. It was
But I mean that's it was a
yeah.
big deal. That was like one of the most important events of the
Yeah.
age.
And that being the case, I will say the Siege of Eregion as a whole left me feeling a little just wanting, I guess. But that's not to
Yeah.
say that I
So I
thought it
mean, it
was
started
poorly
with the
done. It just like
no.
they also, to be fair, they set us up to expect. They said the last 3 episodes were going to be like the Siege of Eregion, and that's not really at all how it ended up being. So I feel like they set us up to expect something they weren't delivering, which was an interesting choice, I guess.
Yeah, and it was also I think there were a few too many antics in the siege.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree with that.
Where like so the siege of Helm's Deep, the only real antic from the Uruk-hai was blowing
Right?
up the
Yeah.
wall, but that was a very realistic
Right.
antic.
Yeah.
And then they're over here. So first of all, I made the note: how the hell is a city full of smiths and mountain elves going to leave a precariously perched gigantic boulder that's big enough to block the entire river
Right.
somehow
Yeah.
just set up to fall?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I
It was
agree.
just it was a little goofy.
Yeah, it was.
So that was one antic.
Yeah, that was an antic. Yeah, I agree. I didn't. I also thought that was a little like, all right, okay.
And it's like, okay, I guess they just need to set up that they're having a ground battle at the foot of
Right.
the
Yeah.
city, but still doesn't feel
Yeah. I feel like
necessary.
building a bridge would have been easier, actually.
Or they could have just not had the river there.
Mm. I mean, yeah.
Just like
Hey.
to begin with. Well, yeah, whatever. Anyway, I mean, so like overall, the siege it was
Yeah,
fine,
it was fine.
I guess, but we just had like so like the charge of the elves trying to break the siege was interesting.
Yeah.
And then
Again,
Elrond pulling
yeah,
up short and
yeah. I
leading the
mean,
charge.
a
First of all.
cavalry charge that stops is pretty ineffective, generally
Yeah, you
speaking.
wonder how they ended up with 28
Yes,
guys left.
it's like Jesus, guys. What the hell were you thinking?
gave up your
because
entire advantage. Like they could have.
they could have plowed through and just like killed those orcs
I
before
feel like they
Galadriel
could
could
have
have.
killed Galadriel
I
in
don't know. I don't
time.
know if they could have killed her.
Also, like, is Galadriel worth an entire? Like they
I mean, they
killed
killed the
so many
entire
more
army
elves
pretty
probably
much.
because of
Yeah,
that.
they killed all but like 30 elves.
It's because of one
Yes, it's
hostage.
like I mean,
Hey, don't negotiate with terrorists or
yeah, that's
orcs.
right.
You should know that by now.
Although they do a fair amount of negotiating with orcs in this.
Yes, no, they literally do like immediately
Yeah, that's
afterwards.
exactly what they do.
But
yeah,
yeah, and then Elrond kisses
yeah, the
Galadriel
kiss.
right on the mouth.
Which again, if they hadn't
Which
had the wrong music in that scene, I'd still say it would have been significantly less upsetting. You know, I think the music was wrong. I think that was the biggest
yeah,
problem.
and like I was fine with it being an excuse for
Yeah.
him to give her the
Pure
brooch to like
distraction
pick the
and
lock
maybe
or
a
whatever,
genuine
but
like display of affection for his friend, but it was never meant to be romantic, which is why the music it did not work in that shot.
yeah, and they didn't play it up as much as the
Yeah.
Hellbrand sort of romance, but it was still like there was a little too much tension for my
Yeah.
liking. Because once
We're
again,
gonna see.
she should not
I
love
know we're
anybody
going
else.
to see.
Here,
God's sakes,
Caleb, Celeborn.
Yeah,
Celeborn.
Jesus. Look
God,
at the names.
so
Like,
between
never had
Círdan and
yeah, I've
Celebrimbor,
never had this much trouble remembering Tolkien names today, though. Jesus.
yeah, but like also we're like we're constantly jumping between a bunch of
Yeah,
different
that's
elves
true.
who all have like
Yeah,
similar
hard names and
so.
yeah.
Yeah, so like and you know, as far as the siege, I will say what was it, Gerard? What was the troll's name?
Gerard.
No, I prefer Gerard or
Jerry.
Gerald or maybe like a
Jerry if you're his buddy.
Jerome. I don't know why I'm going for like G's and J's here, but
Anyway,
something about that. He was awesome, but I did make the note that he was the most Chekhov-y of guns, where they just set him up in like episode 1 or whatever, and then they were like, "All right, bring him in," and just we otherwise saw nothing of him.
And they wrote a whole song for him too, but he was only in like he had what like total 3 minutes of screen time, probably, right?
Yeah, and it was some badass
It
screen
was.
time, but it was still like, okay, we could have.
But I like how they had, you know, the Gloog's betrayal of Adar being set up there, where he's like, "Oh, Father, he'll kill as many of us as they will of the enemy," you know. So that worked for that setup.
Yeah, no, like I get why he was there, but you know they could have used him one other time
Yeah, I
in
know,
the
right?
entire season. I guess. But no, it was overall the siege was okay, but made significantly more satisfying. But by what I guess we can talk about now. Well, first of all, before that, I will say. There being 28 elves left, these are high elves.
Seriously.
There's no way. Yeah, there's no way. They should be, every one of them should be mowing orcs down left and right. Like, with the number of orcs we saw on a horse, or elves we saw on horseback. Like, lore-wise,
they got killed
like,
way
lore
too
accurately,
easily.
they should have
They got killed way too easily.
Yeah, they should have just been mowing them down. Like, if they... I'm sure we could have showed loss without having 24 guys left at the end. Sorry, 28. I counted. Like, guys
Baker's
left at the
24,
end.
sir.
And like, them, you know, getting killed in the siege makes perfect sense and everything. But, like, on the field, they should have been
orcs
running, like, wrecking house. Yeah, like, the orcs should have just been, like, devastated. But can't always get what we want. But anyway, so the whole thing was made more satisfying by
I will say one more thing. I just want to shout out one shot at the beginning of the final episode, or the first time we see Eregion There's like this single shot where like there's an elf like jumping across the roofs and sliding down, and then he gets stabbed, and then Galadriel comes out leading like people out of the city. It was just a really cool like single shot. It
Yes,
was really the
it
blocking and
was actually.
choreography of it was freaking awesome. I just thought it was very cool.
I actually remember that as soon as
Yeah,
you
it was
mentioned
good.
it, and
Yeah.
it was. I would say the action from Elves was a lot more toned down and a lot more
Yeah.
satisfying in the
Well,
season
you
as a
got to
whole.
see Galadriel kick
No,
ass while and being superhuman, but not
not
violating the laws of
flipping
physics.
off
Yeah.
of
Yes.
swords
Well,
and
that's the thing. It's
stabbing
like
trolls and
elves
shit.
should be superhuman. They are superhuman, but they can't bend
They're not
the laws of
outside the
physics. Yeah,
walls of
they are
reality.
not
Yeah,
unplugged from the matrix. They can't do that.
they're not
Yeah.
superheroes. Yeah.
Like they might be superhuman, but they're
So
not
yeah.
superheroes. Yeah. Can't just
Um.
fly.
Well, I guess we can say I did kind of like the fight between her and Sauron at
Oh
the
yeah.
end.
I liked it too.
It was pretty well choreographed, and it was interesting to see. Yeah, like you see Sauron's facade start to
Yeah.
break down as the fight
Yeah.
goes on, and he just gets more and more like
Yeah.
wrathful, and
But then he
it was
taunts her
just
by
a
turning into her and old and Halbrand, and it was
yes,
cool. It was a great fight scene.
yeah,
Yeah. And I also like that
yeah,
they
it
both
was.
fell when that rock fell. It wasn't like again some sort of Legolas climbing up falling stones in the Hobbit. Yeah.
Yes, they're
Yeah, it's
fallible,
like
which
they're in
you
physical
know
form.
they
Yeah,
all
they're
are.
yeah. Like so they will,
So
stumble sometimes. It happens. They can die, they can trip. It's a thing that can happen. Yeah.
all right, so we can finally get to,
Oh,
and we don't have to spend a huge amount of time on this because we both know how we
yep.
feel about it.
And also we have
But
we
yeah,
we're well over an hour
yeah,
now. So
we already we glazed them plenty
yeah.
last
And
episode.
this
So
episode too, really. So but yeah, let's
yes,
get to it. Anatar and Celebrimbor.
yeah, it was once again the most satisfying part of the second half. Just it was everything I needed to see. I
That
think.
Oh man, yeah, that final scene where Sauron is just shooting arrows into Celebrimbor, and just pulling and pushing
The
on him and everything.
only
Oh my god, so
yeah,
good.
the
Brutal.
only thing I would say took me out of it slightly was how he was very obvious and like not as tactful, I guess, about the nine rings for men when he was like
Right.
starting to make them, where it was kind of like I feel like Celebrimbor would have protested more, like fought back on that more, considering how like
Mm,
obvious he was
yeah.
being. But overall, it was still
Yeah.
like everything was so
Yeah, I know what
believable,
you mean though.
and
It's he fought really hard at first and then all of a sudden he was really on
yeah,
board. Just I don't know. I mean,
I mean,
Sauron was
he was just being too obvious about
yeah,
it
I guess
compared to the
of some of
subtlety
the
of
other
his
stuff. Yeah.
previous manipulations and everything.
Yeah. But I guess at
But
that point
once
he
again, he's
had
in this abusive
yeah. Well, at
relationship.
that point he had Celebrimbor pretty pretty
Yeah,
fucked
wrapped around
up.
his
Yeah.
finger.
um.
Yeah, I mean, like for instance, the way that he made him knock
Oh my god.
Mirdania off the wall was
Oh,
so like
it was so brutal. It was so brutal.
yeah,
And
it was
she's
just
looking
like
up like,
you
why
just
did you
started to
do
feel
that? And then that orc just fucking stabs her. Oh my god. Yeah.
yeah, it was just
So
like
brutal.
you just get such an idea. It's like all of the way that they were portraying his Sauron's power in the season was just so like
Yeah.
satisfying, and it just felt so real to
Yeah.
the like what you would imagine his power
Yeah.
is, because he's not like some all-powerful deity. He's the master of
Yeah.
manipulation and confiscation, and I mean the entire illusion aspect was just so like perfect, I
Yeah.
thought,
Agreed.
where he's just playing him like the security footage loop in his head.
Yeah. Oh, it was so cool with the mouse and the candle and everything. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
great.
but the fact that Celebrimbor figures it
Yeah.
out is also a testament to
Smart he
how
is. Yeah,
smart and like clever
yeah,
Celebrimbor is, but then like he gets out and he's like, yeah, my city's already
yeah. He's
lost. Like everybody's already under his
yep,
influence. He's become this like raving
yeah.
madman,
Until
you know,
Galadriel, yeah.
rightfully
Until
so.
Galadriel's like, hey, this is Celebrimbor. Yeah, it's like, guys,
It's like, hey, listen,
listen to what
what
he
the
has
fuck
to
do you think
say.
you're
Yeah.
doing? Yeah. I mean, he cuts his own
Ooh,
thumb
that was
off
so
to
gnarly.
escape his
Yeah.
bonds. Yeah, and he, but
And
like,
he sacrifices
all right, so
himself really too to make sure that
yeah,
Galadriel
I
gets
mean,
away
because
with
he
the
knows,
rings
like,
and the other
yeah, so it's like
survivors and everything.
somehow,
Yeah.
like, you feel like weirdly sympathetic for both sides. Like, not, you don't feel sympathetic for Sauron. You are like, I feel like I was still bought into Sauron's shtick for a decent amount
Right.
of this, and you feel so sympathetic
Oh
for
yeah.
Celebrimbor because he's not like he's not like helpless,
No,
which
he's not.
I'm glad they were able to
Yeah.
portray that he was manipulated, but he's not like
Yeah.
incapable.
Yeah. I think they did right
So
by
I
Celebrimbor. They really did. Like the character as written, really. Like I, yeah, I agree with you totally. He's great. Charles Edwards
I did write down
killed it.
two of my favorite quotes of the show.
Yeah, go for it.
Um, one of them was Sauron is just shooting Celebrimbor with
Oh yeah.
arrows to
Look what
torture
you.
him, and he comes up and he says, "Look what
Oh
you've
my
done to
God! It was
yourself."
so I'm like, oh,
Is
you scumbag, you
savage.
piece of shit. Oh, you're so
It's like
evil.
it so perfectly
Yes.
sums up his like
Oh,
character
yeah, that is
where
done
like
to
you can't even
yourself.
tell you feel like he
Oh, he
believes in
believe he
himself.
does. He 100% believes it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You made me do this. I didn't
Yeah.
have a choice. You didn't give me
He's
a
like, I
choice. I didn't
didn't
want to
want to
have to kill you. I didn't want to have to torture
and
you, but you
and like
gave me no choice.
you're like getting this weird like he also it's like he's in this cycle of abuse with
Oh
Morgoth
yeah,
too,
Thrall of
where
Morgoth
you
really
almost like
got
feel
to him.
bad
Yeah,
for him. Yeah,
almost,
where it's
almost.
like, wow, like you it kind of like makes sense that he is like this
Yeah,
because Morgoth was like torturing him
yeah.
and
He's a
yeah,
brutal
it's
master
like
himself. Yeah. Um.
yeah. And then also Celebrimbor's
Oh
moment
yes.
of um clairvoyance or whatever
Yeah.
foresight where he says one alone shall
Oh,
prove
I
your
got
utter
you. I have
ruin
chills
was
right now
like
thinking about Charles Edwards delivering
yes, I
that
just got chills
monologue.
as
Is
well.
oh, like the Sauron, the Lord of
But
the Ring.
it just like and it was like that was an original
Yeah,
line, right,
yeah.
from the
That's not
show,
taken from the
and
writings anyway.
it felt so
Yeah,
true to what like it felt like something that
if
Tolkien
it
would have
felt like he
written,
could have written that.
you
Yeah,
know.
agreed. It
Yeah,
was so good.
and then he immediately got turned into a banner.
Yeah, I do want to see him. I know this is a really well,
Being
it's a fucked up
paraded.
thing to say,
Yeah,
but like,
it
I want
sounds
to see him
messed up.
stripped naked, put on a banner, and paraded around by
And
orcs,
paraded,
an army of orcs. Yeah,
yeah, because that is like part of the like brutality of that. It reveals how truly evil
yes,
Sauron is.
exactly.
So I think it would
I feel like,
like I think
yeah,
that would be, and it's also pretty tame as far as medieval standards of
true. I'm not
brutality
saying we
go.
need to see
So
actual Charles Edwards dead naked body. I'm just, but if
no,
they want to like
no, but
show it
like
in a distance or
some
something,
at
I'd be,
least
yeah,
homage.
I would be very excited about that. But yeah, I think
Yeah, he can have a
yeah,
loincloth.
we did get Celebrim Banner though. We did get him technically.
Yes, yeah,
That
we did.
spear.
He's been
Yeah.
erected, and yeah.
I loved
So
how Sauron
I
was
mean, just
crying too, because it was like he's not sad that he's not like sad for like what he's done. He's sad that like he kind of I think he like did kind of enjoy making these rings with Celebrimbor, and he's sad for himself.
yeah.
Obviously, it's purely
I think
selfish
he also
weeping.
feels like he failed,
Yeah, like yeah, he wanted
where he like failed to fully
yes,
corrupt him
yeah,
and like keep him
yeah.
under his
So I
influence,
thought
and he's like sad that he couldn't have made the one with
Right.
him. That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
bad.
yeah. Also, I love that they're implying that he's going to use the hammer of Feanor to craft the One Ring. I
Yes,
love that. I
which
don't. I some
it
people might bitch about it, but I thought that's great. That he took the hammer and is going to do that. I love it.
yeah, no,
I think it's
like
brilliant.
that absolutely it makes sense, and it's something that's not like, it's not explicitly disallowed by the
Yeah,
lore, and it absolutely would like line
with the
up
story they're
with,
telling. Yeah,
it's like the greatest craftsman's
yeah, it
hammer.
works.
Makes
Definitely
sense.
works. So yeah, did we do it?
I think we did it. I think we've just gone and
Yeah,
done
I
it.
feel like neither of us has taken a breath in the last hour and a half or whatever that we've been we've been
Yeah,
talking. So.
just like
Whew. So
yeah.
overall,
Well,
this I hope season 3 improves in the same amount that season 2 improved over season 1.
I'm not as
Yeah,
worried
I
about
was
season
very
three
worried about season
now,
2, and even for the things that
but
I've struggled with, I'm looking forward now to season 3
yeah,
and
I
season 4 and
absolutely.
season 5 because what they're setting up with Numenor alone works.
I'll be honest, I still don't think I can rewatch it all
No,
to get ready
yeah,
for
no,
season three.
I was gonna start
But
rewatching the whole thing before we were gonna do this, and I was just like, I can't rewatch season 1 again.
but
Maybe in
like
a bunch of years, but it's like I've watched all of these episodes multiple times now, and I'm like, all right, I don't know if I can watch it all
but
over
like if that isn't a condemnation on its own, I
in a
mean,
way.
think
Yeah,
about like I could just put on any of the Jackson movies and just like have them on.
yeah,
I could actively watch any of them again, like pretty frequently. I get that it's longer and
yeah,
everything, but like it's just not. Unfortunately, no matter what they do at this point, I don't think it's going to hold up nearly the same way.
yeah.
It's not going to be like a household staple
Well, we'll
like
see. We'll
the
see. They
Jackson
had a lot
trilogy
more
was, but
viewers for this
hopefully,
season. I think. I think the season did do well,
yeah, I
so
think,
we'll
and
see. We'll see.
like I think they retained more
Yeah,
people,
I think
so
they brought a lot of people back. They
I'm
brought me
excited.
back. I was like, I might have to write off this whole show. But
Yeah, I
I
was
was like, you
on
know
the
what?
edge.
I can hang. I can I
They talked me
yeah.
off a wall.
Like I can
They talked me off a
I'm
roof
picking
for
up
this
what they're
one.
putting down even if some of it smells funny, you know?
Even if it smells like a mud
You're
slug.
right. Or whatever the fuck that was. Yeah.
Ugh. All right. So, speaking of mud slugs,
Great segue. I have
um,
no idea where you're going, but I can tell it's a great segue.
so it's my turn for the Tolkien
Yes, that's
fun
right. Our
fact
Lord of the
this
Rights, or
week.
we'll see.
Yes, Lord
Yeah,
of the
that's right.
Rights. Um, we got to workshop
Yeah.
that a little bit. uh, yeah. So Tolkien, when he was a child, used to go out and he would tell his mother he was going to slay dragons, but he would just go and pour salt onto slugs in the driveway.
Is that
Yeah,
so?
it was kind of sad, I didn't want to share this one. It's like it's a sort of it's a
God, is Tolkien a
it's
serial killer?
sort of a dark mark on his otherwise pretty pretty spotless record of not being a serial killer.
How much do we really know about what he did in the
Oh
war?
God, for some reason that feels worse. Yeah, so you just pour salt on slugs. Everybody's done it.
Well,
I
I've
feel like
done it.
I've probably done it.
I didn't, not regularly. I did it once, and then I felt
Yeah,
bad
poor
because it was
slug.
pretty gross. I'm like, oh, that's probably a horrible
Yeah,
way
no,
to
it sounds
die. I
terrible.
shouldn't
Yeah.
have done that.
All right. Well, on that fun note,
Oh my God, am I a serial
I
killer?
hate to break it to you, Zerb. It's only a matter of time.
I have these. I miss hours of time.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
you control your dark urges.
if you've missed hours of time and like to share your experience with us, you could do so by contacting us by emailing us at the Lord of the Wrongs, or was it? No, just Lord of the Wrongs podcast
Yep.
at gmail.com. Or DM us on Instagram. Our handle is Lord of the Wrongs Podcast.
All right. Well, with that, we say,
Yeah.
Namatie.
Namarie. Join us next time.